Tindertaps and Applebloom were walking back from dance class.
Come on, you weren't that bad.
She looked at him with a raised eyebrow.
I tumbled over the entire class.
No pony was hurt. Dancers step on their tails all the time.
Rolling her eyes, she said,
Name one thing I did right today.
Well, you finally mastered the shuffle. You just gotta work on your ball changes.
Those things are crazy. How can you even step on one part of your hoof?
Here, I'll show you.
He stopped for a moment and slowly stepped his right hooves back, landing on their soles. Immediately afterwards, he stepped his left hooves forward in the same manner. Applebloom attempted to imitate him, but ended up crossing her back legs.
I have a feeling this sort of dancing wasn't meant for 4 legs.
Okay, imagine it's late at night and you're creeping downstairs for a late night snack.
Applebloom smiled at the thought.
Fritters!
That's right, think of the fritters. Only instead of creeping forwards, you be creeping backwards, and you actually want to be heard, but don't actually go backwards.
Then why'd you say?
Just walk backwards in place, okay? Now try the move again with that in mind.
He showed her again and held out his hoof. Taking a deep breath, Applebloom closed her eyes and imagined creeping on her soles as she stepped backwards, with the fronts of her right hooves touching the ground, and then doing the same with her left.
Now faster, do it in a leap.
She tried it and looked down at her hooves.
Hey, I did it!
See? You just need a little more practice.
Applebloom grinned as she continued on their way.
I don't know if I'd survive in this dance class without you, Taps. You've done so much to help me.
He blushed.
Well, you helped me earn my cutie mark. I'm just returning the favor.
They arrived at Sweet Apple Acres.
Well, here's my stop. Thanks for walking me.
See you next week.
She waved back as she went into the house. Applejack was baking pies in the kitchen.
How was dance class?
Terrible.
Confused at her contradicting tone, Applejack turned to her little sister. A wide smile was spread across her face, and her eyes were staring vacantly at the ceiling. Glancing out the window, Applejack saw a small orange earth colt with purple hair going down the path. She grinned knowingly.
Is that the Tindertaps fella you told me so much about?
He just helped me with a ball change.
She quickly tried to demonstrate, but stumbled on her front hooves.
Well, I did it earlier anyway. Guess Taps is right about me needing more practice.
He sounds nice.
Applejack said with a smirk.
You've been spending a lot of time with him lately.
He's been helping me.
And he's pretty cute too.
Yeah, I guess he... What?
Oh, see? Just talking about it makes you blush.
No, it doesn't.
Uh-huh.
The sudden flush in the filly's cheeks did not escape her.
Face it, sis. You like him.
Yuck. Do not. Taps is just a friend from dance class. And I like him. I don't... Like him.
If you say so, sis.
But Applejack was still smirking when she returned to the pies.
My little sister's growing up.
Shut up!
Applebloom hollered as she stomped upstairs.
And 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4.
Applebloom struggled to keep up with Miss Steps' counts as she held onto Tindertaps. It was hard to see her back hooves because her cheek was pressed so close to his. Even though Miss Steps had said partnering was a little advanced for Applebloom, the teacher had agreed to let her try it when she saw how well the filly worked with Tindertaps. Every time Applebloom stumbled, he would quickly bring her back in step.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Applebloom giggled as she whispered in her partner's ear.
What's a Vaughn anyway?
I wouldn't judge. You're the one who says y'all all the time.
Her smile vanished.
Fair enough.
1, 2, 3, 4. Spin. 2, 3, 4.
Like we practiced?
Taps whispered as he lifted his right hoof. Applebloom stepped away from him and let him spin her.
Dip. 2, 3, 4.
But Applebloom was so dizzy that she fell the wrong way. Thinking that she was going to hit the floor, she cried out. But Tender Taps caught her in his hoof and winked.
I got you.
She smiled as he snapped her back up.
Good catch, Tender Taps. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The class was interrupted as the door opened.
Wait!
Hoofer Steps called as she turned around.
Ah! You must be the new pupil.
As Applebloom and Tender Taps stopped, they looked to the filly in the doorway dressed in the uniform leotard, tights and lace slippers. Applebloom gasped.
Scootaloo?
Hey, Applebloom.
Scootaloo exclaimed as she entered the room.
What you doing here?
Well, when I saw how you were getting on with your dancing, I thought I'd give it a try.
The Earth Filly grinned brightly.
This'll be great. Something we can do together.
Why don't you show us what you can do?
Hoofer Steps asked, signaling for the students to clear the floor.
Just so we can see your level?
Scootaloo shrugged and stepped into the middle of the dance floor. Hoofer Steps repositioned the needle on the record player so it would start from the beginning. As the music filled the room, Scootaloo kicked up onto her front hoof and spun around, keeping her head forward until the last second. When she came to a stop, she was balancing perfectly on her hoof.
Good. But we do more than just spin. We do ballet, tap, and traditional ballroom dance.
Okay.
Scootaloo said, landing back on her hooves.
Don't know much about that stuff, but I can do this.
She stood on her back hooves and began twirling and kicking. Jumping into the air, she clicked her back hooves together, landed on her front hooves and did a backflip, landing with a perfect split. The class gawked in awe.
I didn't know you could do that.
I just did some of my scooter tricks. Without the scooter.
Well done.
Hoofer Steps said, clapping her hooves.
You have excellent raw potential. We are working in pairs now, we have a number. Applebloom?
Applebloom blushed at the teacher's mispronunciation.
Since Scootaloo is your friend, perhaps you could alternate with Tender Taps. He can catch her up.
Oh, sure, no problem.
In meantime, you work on pliés at bar.
Applebloom obeyed the instructor and went over to the bar. She steadied herself as she stood on her hind legs and slowly bent them along with Hoofer Steps 4 counts and raised them on the next 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. Spin. 2, 3, 4. Dip. 2, 3, 4. Good, Scootaloo.
Applebloom watched Scootaloo and Tender Taps as they danced. The moves were seamless. Not once did they stumble. Every now and then, Taps would mutter a compliment at how unnatural Scootaloo was, as he guided her with his hooves. Applebloom felt a tug inside her chest. They danced so well together, and from their smiles, they were obviously enjoying it. At first, Applebloom had been overjoyed that she was going to share a dance class with one of her best friends, but now that she was dancing with her usual partner, it felt like her space had been invaded. Applebloom shook her head. She was overreacting. It was good that Scootaloo was doing well in the class, and it wasn't like Applebloom would get to dance with Tender Taps again. They were just alternating. She would get her turn next class. Weeks went by, and Hoofer Steps was quite impressed with Scootaloo's performance. Even the students would whisper about how unnatural she was, considering she had never taken dance lessons before. And Scootaloo was a natural. Applebloom had to admit it. After all, Scootaloo had been the one who had given her dancing tips for the talent show long ago. It wasn't the fact that her friend was better than her. Everyone in the class was better than her. It was the fact that since Scootaloo joined, Applebloom had spent less and less time with Tendertaps. Every class there would be 15 minutes set aside for freestyle practice, and during that time, Tendertaps would usually help Applebloom with her moves. But since Scootaloo was new, he had started using that time to show her a few ballet and tap moves, leaving Applebloom to figure things out for herself. During tap time, when the class was all in a line, Tendertaps would stand next to Applebloom so he could whisper advice. Now he stood between her and Scootaloo, and Applebloom didn't like the divided attention. One day, when they were warming up at the bar, Tendertaps stood behind Scootaloo instead of his usual place behind Applebloom, and she glared at his back for every lié and leave. Partnering was the worst. Even though Applebloom and Scootaloo were supposed to alternate with Tendertaps, Applebloom's time became shorter and shorter because Miss Steps would get so enthralled in Scootaloo's dancing.
Wonderful!
The teacher applauded when the lesson was over.
You two have magnificent teamwork.
The two of them took a bow while Applebloom narrowed her eyes at him.
Now, you all know we have Recital coming up. We will have auditions next week for partnered and solo routines. You will still be in Recital if you are not picked, but will be dancing in group. That is all.
She dismissed the class by clapping her hooves. Applebloom grunted as she began unlacing her slippers.
Tendertaps, Scootaloo.
Looking up, she saw the teacher approaching her two friends.
I think you two should consider doing partnered routine for the recital.
Applebloom stiffened.
Gee, I don't know, Miss Steps.
Tendertaps said, rubbing the back of his neck.
I usually go solo.
But you two work well together. Like a steed and Ginger.
We are pretty good.
Scootaloo said with a shrug.
What do you think, Taps?
Applebloom's face flushed with fury. Only she called him Taps.
Well,
he started to say.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, we'll think about it.
Scootaloo agreed.
Okay. See you for next week.
As the three foals were walking out of the building, Applebloom's head was down as she stomped alongside her friends who were talking animatedly.
Do you really think we could pull off a routine together?
I suppose you want to try something with tap.
I think Miss Steps liked our ballroom stuff better.
We could try a tango.
What's that?
I could come by your house and show you.
That did it. Applebloom could no longer keep it in as she stopped in her tracks and snapped towards her friends.
Sure, go to her house, why don't you? Make a routine, why don't you? After all, you two are great together. You even look great togetger. Why don't you just get married while you're at it?
She ran ahead, the wind stinging her eyes and forcing the tears out. She ignored her friends' cries, though she was too upset to talk about it. She just kept on running, all the way to Sweet Apple Acres. Applejack stopped herself from bucking a tree when she saw the state of her little sister.
What's wrong, sis?
Finally coming to a stop, Applebloom collapsed to the ground and burst into tears.
Applebloom?
Applejack knelt down, put her hooves around her, and gently rocked her.
There, let it all out.
It's not fair!
Huh?
The filly pulled away so she could look up at her sister with red eyes.
She's taking taps from me!
Calm down, sis. Take deep breaths and start from the beginning.
She did so and spoke rapidly.
Since Scootaloo joined our dance class, she's been hugging tender taps and dancing with him and partnering with him, and he's been helping her, and now they're doing a routine together even though he's supposed to be my partner, and it's just not fair!
Ah, I You're jealous of your friend.
Apple Bloom scowled.
I'm not jealous.
Her sister raised an eyebrow.
Okay, maybe a little, but he's supposed to be helping me become a better dancer. Scootaloo's the best in the class next to him. She doesn't need him.
Apple Bloom, Scoot's your friend. She won't hurt you on purpose. And you don't really own Tender Taps, so she's not really stealing them from you. And just because he seems to be focusing on her doesn't mean he likes you even less. It's okay to be a little jealous. It just goes to show how much you care about the pony and you're afraid of losing him. But don't get angry at Scootaloo for it.
I guess it's not really your fault. Miss Steps was the one who asked Taps to help her. But still, when I see them dancing together, I can't help but feel...
Apple Bloom!
The sisters turned around as Tender Taps came running up the path.
Apple Bloom! I'm so glad I caught up with you. I really need to talk to you.
Applejack looked between them.
Well, I better get back to my apple bucking.
She disappeared over the hill, leaving the two foals alone. Apple Bloom stood up, but she kept her back to Tender Taps.
Look, Scootaloo and I didn't mean to make you mad.
She spun around and shouted.
I'm not mad!
He jumped backward.
Okay, I'm mad. It's hard not to be when my partner is dancing with some pony else and helping her when I'm the one who needs help. And you've been spending all your time with her instead of me.
Tender Taps blinked.
Apple Bloom, I was only helping Scootaloo these past weeks because she's new.
But you said so yourself. She's a natural.
Yes, but she's not familiar with the basic dance steps. I was only just helping her catch up like Miss Steps asked me to.
Apple Bloom stared at him a while and then looked down at the ground.
Oh, sorry. I was feeling kind of left out.
I didn't mean to make you feel that way.
I know, and I understand if you want Scootaloo as a partner. The two of you were great together.
He cocked his head.
Who said I want Scootaloo as a partner?
She looked up in confusion.
But your routine.
Scootaloo and I talked about that after you left.
He said, stepping forward.
We've decided not to do it.
Her eyes widened.
Why?
Scootaloo liked the idea of doing a solo better.
But what about you?
He smiled as he lifted her chin.
I thought we could do a routine together.
Us? But why would you want to do routine with me instead of Scootaloo? She's a better dancer.
Scootaloo may be a better dancer,
He said as he moved closer.
but you're a better partner.
She scrunched her nose.
What are you talking about? I'm always fumbling and stepping on your hose.
But that never stopped us from dancing. Scootaloo is great and all, but
He blushed as he circled his hoof.
when I dance with her, it doesn't happen.
She cocked her head.
What doesn't happen?
He looked at her sheepishly.
The thing that happens when I dance with you.
She raised an eyebrow.
You're not making a lick of sense.
It's hard to explain.
He grinned brightly.
Here, I'll show you.
Taking her hoof, he brought her in. Apple Bloom watched in confusion as he set his other hoop on her waist.
What are you doing?
He smirked.
We're dancing.
Now? Here?
It's the only way I can show you what I mean.
She glanced around.
There's no music.
We won't need it.
What steps are we doing? What tempo? What counts? What if I trip over you?
Do you remember what I said when we first met? You have to just do it with feeling, but if it'll make you feel better, I'll start the counts.
He stepped forward, making her step back as he led her into a simple box step.
1, 2, 3, 4.
He said, mimicking Miss Step's accent.
2, 2, 3, 4.
She giggled as his counts grew softer until she had to rely on the rhythm set in her head. Worried that she might stumble, she looked down at her hoops.
Don't think about the steps.
He said as he lifted her chin.
Keep your eye on me.
Her amber eyes locked onto his purple ones. Suddenly, Applejack forgot all about her ruse and let him guide her. His grip on her was firm, but gentle, and every move was slow and considerate. When he lifted his right hoof, she went under it with ease, her gaze only leaving him for a second as her head snapped around with her body. Everything faded away as the waltz missteps with playing class ran through Applebloom's head. She wasn't aware of how they were moving, just that he was holding her, and that they weren't fumbling. It was like their hooves weren't even touching the ground as he carefully spun her and brought her back into an embrace. He was smiling, and his pupils dilated as they focused on her. Applebloom's eyes changed to match his. She cried out as he suddenly placed both hooves on her waist and hoisted her up. She gripped his shoulders in fear as they turned, but when she realized how strong his hooves were, she slowly let go and leaned back, spreading her front legs out with a laugh. When he prudently lowered her and lifted his hoop to twirl her. When he brought her back in his time, he dropped her into a dip. The sudden movement made her face flush, and it became even redder as her eyes met his again. He smiled warmly down at her.
Do you see what I mean?
Applebloom didn't say anything, only gulped and nodded dumbly. Applejack had watched the entire scene from behind a tree. A wide grin spread across her face as Tendertaps brought Applebloom back up, and the two of them held hooves as they went into the house for a snack. The mare sighed as she leaned back against the trunk.
Yep,
She said, wiping away a tear.
growing more and more each day.
I could see how you stammered with your eyes to the floor, but still I swore to hide the doubt. When I turned back the pages, anger might have been the answer. What if I'd hung my head